Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is the 3rd of August, year 2022. Can you believe it that we already are in the month of August? Today, just 1 second. Today we have Patricia with us. Good evening, Patricia. And I'm hoping the other panel members join. And we also have Kimberly with us, who is going to ask a question. While you're asking the question, Kimberly, if you can do me a favor, also type it in. I'm going to go tag everyone on the Facebook group. And you can ask the question, and Patricia, you can start the answer, and then you're the only one here, and then we'll discuss it. Okay, thank you. Is Kimberly on mute? Okay, there we go.
I'm going to type it in the chat.
You can say it verbally too, so that it gets recorded.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
Okay, I was reading about the inner purpose of the life's journey and outer purpose of the life's journey. And my question is, how do I know that I'm on my life's journey?
You want to start, Patricia?
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, that's an incredible question. And the answer is in the question. Because if you didn't ask it, right, you wouldn't be on a life journey. But if you are asking about it, it means that you're aware of that. So that would be a very simple way for me to answer, because the consciousness, the self-awareness, it's coming out already. It's to the surface. So you're asking, it's like you cannot be on somebody else's journey. You are I, that I is here. If you disconnect yourself, from that identifying with any personhood, all that is in that question is the I, right? So anything that brings you to the I, then the question just dissolves, and all you realizing that you are. And that would be very, I don't know, Funam, if there's something else, but that's what came up to me. I mean, that's it, you have the question, which means that you are on your life's journey. Does it make sense? What would you answer? Like, if that question came out to you, what would be your answer, Kimberly? Do you think you are on your life journey?
Well, from what I understand, is that the past happened the way it happened in order for me to be right here in this moment. But I did a review of my past, not only my illness during those times, but prior to that, not to say that I had an adventurous life, but it seemed to be more adventurous than some people because I moved around all over the world. Born in Wisconsin, I joined the Air Force. They sent me to Florida. Then they sent me to Southern Italy, and then back to Maryland, and then Northern Japan for 3 years. And then after that, I came back to Maryland. And with that, not to say that I wanted to move, but that was an event, 9 years of an adventure that at the time I didn't know how, not privileged, but during that time, having the experience of living in different countries for a few years made me appreciate the different cultures and experiences. But then there's good and bad with the journey. So,
But that's when you're
so
starting to judge. That's
yeah,
where the ego comes.
yeah.
Just, I watched one of the Eckhart's YouTube recordings. He was talking to a young person, very young guy, asking him questions. And he just said, think of the past. And then who was there? I mean, everything changed, like your age changed, the country, you look different. But what stayed the same? Like when you go to all those experiences, memories, and you go there, who was unchanged? What was unchanged? When you think about it.
Well, I think with me, get it's getting to me. I remain the same but changed now that I'm older. I appreciate the adventure, and I wish there was digital cameras back then, but there wasn't. so I did take a lot of pictures, but it's kind of daunting that everyone's life's journey is different, but if you're not on the right path of your journey, you get snapped back to it, which has happened to me a lot. It's like going down the wrong path. It's like, nope, life is saying you're not going to go there. And situations just, hey, we need to put you right back into your
correction.
path.
Yeah, the
Yes.
adversities happen to correct you, to put you back on, yes, where you're supposed to be. Yep.
So what Eckhart says in A New Earth, I'm sure he says the same thing in The Power of Now, right? Our inner purpose or our main purpose is to awaken, right? So how did you put the sentence? Is it like, how do I know my inner or outer purpose? Is that what you were saying?
How do
Or
I
you just
know that I am on my life's journey?
okay? So your inner purpose is to awaken, and it seems like you are doing that because you are asking the questions and you are going into that analysis of, oh,
Self-inquiry.
this self-inquiry that where is what makes me know of my true self. Let me meditate, let me change my diet, let me try this, let me try that, right? So you are on your inner purpose. You are actually living more than the meditation and everything is every present moment to present moment. Are we fully living that present moment? Are we learning how to sit in that present moment, right? With whatever it is.
And to
That is
end
our,
suffering, if you don't suffer your experiences, that means that you are in the
awaken.
now, right? That you awaken. Yes.
That you know that there's suffering, but you're not going to attach a story. You're going to accept what is and then go from there, right? Okay, this happened. My mom passed away. What do I do? Do I need to go to the funeral? I was here in the US. She was in India. No, by the time I go, her funeral will be over because she gets cremated within 4 hours. So I made the choice. No, I won't go. I'll just experience the grief here by myself, and I'll have that connection going deeper into my meditation. I'll have that connection with her. So I had a conversation with her before while she was in the coma, and like going in my depth of meditation. So it's something like that. Yeah, challenges happen, but then how do we deal with a challenge is totally different than as opposed to, you know, the previous person that was me would have gone, oh, I need to go because I'm going to be guilty because society is going to say, oh, the daughter didn't show up to the funeral, right? So when I let go of that conditioned pattern of society, I can recognize that that is self-awareness, that I'm going to live through the conditioned patterns of the society. If I say I'm going to go, just because, I mean, I'm not going to see her. I'm not going to see her, even her dead body. I'm not going to see her, right? Because she's going to get cremated. So it's something like that. The more we can live in self-awareness, moment to moment to moment to moment, then we are living our inner purpose.
It's
And
mhm.
then you're going to ask, oh, but I want my inner purpose to be something that I'm doing. You know, a lot of people kind of confuse inner purpose with, or whatever work I am doing right now needs to be my inner purpose, right? Whether it is like I need to be um, like I was talking to my best friend, and she said she doesn't feel that she's doing enough for the world because she's not giving charitably giving of herself, right? Because that's what we feel once we are awakened, but that's not what our present moment is. Our present moment is that we are doing a job in maybe corporate America or working at a place or something of that nature, right? So we have to connect our inner purpose with our outer purpose and find that, okay, yeah, this may not be my ultimate inner purpose of what my soul needs to do. Maybe 2 years from now, Kimberly, that you heal yourself, you find uh, like total complete bliss and peace, and then you write a book, right? Who can say what you're going to do a year from now or 6 months from now or 2 years from now, right? But for this moment, right at this moment, whatever work you're doing, you have to use that as somewhere where presence flows, right? Then you're living your inner purpose. Like my very first experience with Eckhart was in 2010. Oprah was interviewing Eckhart, and it wasn't even like I watched the show from beginning to end. I watched the show from the middle, and I watched where this was being shot in Los Angeles, right? And he was answering questions from the audience. You know how Oprah does her show, right? There's a huge audience, and people get up and they ask questions, right? They were asking her and Eckhart questions, and this girl gets up. She's like 26, 27, and she goes, oh, I am a waitress slash actress, and my purpose is being an actress, but I'm a waitress. So what Eckhart said is, as a waitress, how you put your fork down, how you put the plate down, with the presence with which you put the plate down, the presence with which you greet the customer is your purpose now. Yet you don't know, in 5-6 months, maybe a director comes or somebody comes, you're at a coffee shop, you meet a director or somebody, and they offer you a actor to be an actor in one of the movies or something of that sort. But right now, so his instruction is always to honor the present moment, always honor and hold sacred whatever we are doing in this present moment. And
Right,
Caesar
and
is
I
really,
remember him saying, if you walking right now, or right now we talking, your purpose is to talk or to walk. That's your purpose in that moment.
in a New Earth, he says, somebody says, Caesar, good evening. If anybody needs an introduction, Caesar is a channel and a spiritual teacher. I'm sure everybody online is familiar with who Caesar is. He's been with us for more than a year or two, right, Caesar, as a panel member. So the question Kimberly is asking is, what is how does she know that she is living her inner purpose? So Patricia and I are discussing it, and I'll move over to you. I'll answer.
Yeah, we
this
kind of
this
moved
part.
from journey to purpose, but it's kind of intertwined because Kimberly worded, how do I know that I am on my life's journey?
Inner journey. So what he said in A New Earth is it in A New Earth or The Power of Now? He says, somebody says, what is my inner purpose? And he says, your purpose right now is to listen to me.
Right. Whatever you're doing in that moment.
Because that person probably is in a talk or something, right? With him. So he says, your purpose right now is to listen to me.
To be
I'm gonna-
aware. Yeah, to be aware, exactly. And present. Be one with the present moment, whatever the present moment brings. And if it's more of a being, you being. If it's more of a doing, then you put that being into doing. So you're not thinking about the end result, but you are completely in that moment aware and doing it.
It's like it's like whether you're at the cash register. Yesterday I was listening to Oprah talk to this happiness professor, Arthur Brooks, and somebody was talking about that they feel very lonely because they're alone by themselves and they don't have any contact with human beings. So how do they improve? And she was getting depressed. So he said, even if you go to the cash register, right, the way we increase our oxytocin level is by eye contact and by hug, like physical contact, right? So he says, when you go to the cash register, when you look at the person, and this is exactly, I was like, Eckhart says exactly the same thing. You let presence flow into the cash register person, right? Or like I drop off my dry cleaning and I wait. It's not like I give my dry cleaning and I'll wait for a few minutes and I'll talk to this person, the owner of the dry cleaning store. The same thing when I go get my nails done. The person, they come and they hug me. Like the moment they say, hey, Poonam, and then they come hug me, and then she'll take me in and she'll say, so, I mean, that's what we are here for, is to exchange that presence, right? Yeah, we know our presence, now let it flow out. Today, I had to go to the bank to change my account. I mean, the way the person at the bank treated me, right? They talked with me like for 15-20 minutes, just normal about family, this, that, and everything, forgetting that I needed to change my account. She's like taking, and it's my work day, right? She's taking, that is the present moment. I have to honor it, right? And she offered me a credit card. She said, you need to sign up for a credit card. So it was a good thing, then you get more service as well. The other person flows back to you. Caesar, you want to say something about this? I posted the question again. Thank you.
Sure. Sorry I'm late. I'm grateful to be here. So yeah, it's always about the interactions, no matter where you go and what you do. Um, a smile is contagious. And I'll segue into the question here in a second, but they say scientifically, they have proven this, that when you actually embrace somebody and hug them, your hearts will actually sync up. Did you know that? Yeah, your heartbeats will actually join each other's rhythm and synchronicity. So that's pretty cool. So every encounter that we have should be a pleasant one, and it should radiate joy and happiness. And it's been this way for me and most of my guys, that have been with me for a short period of time, especially the longer guys have been with me, that wherever we go, even if it's just a passerby and you smile or you hold the door open for somebody, it always winds up to be, typically a brief, short, awesome conversation. And the entire time each other's smiling, and it's just a feel good thing. And that's what presence power offers, is peace and joy in the moment. So, and Patricia, yeah, you hit it on the moment. I mean, you hit it on the head. It is, your life's journey. How do you know you're on your life's journey? You asked a question, so you must be, but it should feel good. The effortlessness of a journey will come the longer you go, and you're going to have, roller coaster rides along any journey. And that's not a bad thing, because we don't really consider things being bad anymore. They're just opportunities for growth, because we're ever expanding and learning and growing along the journey. And whatever path it is that you're on, that's the right path always. But the journey is meant to feel good. Yes, along the way, you'll find less drama if you're honoring your presence power. There's little to no conflict. It's just a feel good thing. And it really starts with the present moment and being aware in that present moment, and knowing that you attract how you feel, how you vibe. That's what you're going to create into your life. And the more you become aware of this, and you have to be present to do this, and you have to be aware of the fact that, if, and emotions are ever so important, because they let you know where you're vibing. If you're feeling down, I see people all the time, they say, I'm just having a bad day. Well, no, you had a bad moment within the day, and you chose to carry it along the way. But you always have the power, the opportunity to release it as soon, as quick as it came. You can let it go. And that's just by pure acceptance. And then right back focused into the present moment instead of dwelling on the past. So the journey is an ever growing process, learning process. It's about realizing that you are love, and that you radiate love. See ya. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. And it just feels good. The journey feels good. You do everything a little different with good intentions. To know that you're on this journey, you're on the journey, and you're aware of the journey, because that's why we signed up. We understand we're vibrational beings first and foremost, and how we vibe is going to be the results of what comes into our life, what we bring in. When we're low vibing and we have interactions, they're probably going to be low vibing interactions. That's what you're going to, co-create. So,
have you ever asked that question to yourself? Have you ever had that question on your journey?
If I knew I was on my journey,
Yeah,
I knew the moment my journey began is when I needed answers to all my questions, because it all happened so fast. It was like, I just reached the precipice of wanting something different and knowing there was something more to life. And it took, 4 of my family members dying for me to even seek the answers. Why? What is this all about? And do I really know? No, that's the joy of the whole thing. Yeah, I think I might know. But the journey is fun. The journey, if you understand and you realize you are on a journey, that's a good thing. And it feels good to know that you're on this journey. And if you realize that you are on this journey, you realize also that you are one with everybody. And the journeys are the same. There's different situations and different experiences, but the purpose is all the same. It's for our growth. And like Poonam said, we are here to lessen the suffering of others. And that feels good in itself. So the journey should feel good. And again, there's going to be times where, things happen, along the way that strike nerves or touch emotions, and we get sad or upset or whatever it may be. But that happens for a reason. That allows growth to happen, but again, to accept the gift, you must be present. You got to be home to accept the gift. And it starts with presence. And you hit it perfectly, Patricia. That was beautifully put. And I mean, I tuned in, and then there you was, and it was just a beautiful display of words. But yeah, the journey is really meant to feel good. And, you
So
know,
it's almost like Eckhart also mentioned that it's constant transforming the person
absolutely,
into presence. Every
absolutely,
moment by moment, something happens, you're not identifying with it, you're just transforming whatever comes up with the ego into the presence. It's
absolutely.
that's in itself, you're constantly in this active playing,
That's
being,
right.
but in the
Yeah,
same time always changing. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, the only thing constant is change. Yeah, and we never know what life is going to throw at us, but you find a way. And the more we do this, what you say, the more we, acknowledge the fact of the things that you just mentioned, things become more easy and
And
free
you're
flowing.
grateful, and the grateful. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's easy to be grateful, even when the quote unquote bad things happen, or the things that happen that aren't so pleasant to our wantings. Um, I get excited literally about the next moment and the next moment. And when you stay excited and you're grateful, it's just like it's almost like a high. Now I'm gonna say not almost, it is a high. It's it's a vibrational high. And it's always not so much anticipating, if you're waiting for the next moment, you miss this moment.
Right.
So you stay focused in this moment and excited and grateful. And that leads you to the next moment. And that leads you to the next moment. That's how you really know you're on your journey. But the more you can be aware of the journey is the key. And obviously, the more you are aware of the journey, you're also becoming more aware of the present moment. And when we start our journeys, it seems like, once we understand, presence and how important it is to a beautiful life, um, it becomes easier along the way. You're only present here and there in the beginning, and then you start becoming aware of the present moment more often. And sooner or later, hopefully one day we can achieve what Eckhart has and some of the other great spiritual teachers of, past and present. Um, where it's just second nature. They just dwell there all the time, and that must be a really beautiful thing. Um, but when we don't, it's for a reason. So, you know, it's fun and it's exciting. It's like being in school at your favorite subject. This is the school of life. The journey is the school. The experiences are is the homework, at every moment. Everything is an opportunity for growth, and the little interactions with every person you meet is there for a reason. You never know what somebody's going through at the time. And I understand most people have no clue about honoring the present moment. And I also understand that the vast majority of people that we run into on a daily basis are unconscious. Um, but it's the little seeds that we plant along the way. And sometimes that seed don't sprout for a while, just like some of the stuff we read, we get from Eckhart Tolle. Sometimes it doesn't click right away, but down the road, it's like, aha, aha, and it just comes to you. And I always tell people that, when they read the book, um, don't even try to understand it. Just read it. Your soul will pick out exactly what it needs to along the way. And then in a week, something else might and be like, oh, because for me, reading the book was like, it made so much sense. I mean, it was like, how did I not get this? I mean, I related it to every facet of my life and said, yeah, that's how I got through that. Yep, that's crazy. And it was so understandable and so logical. Logic makes sense. So um, it was a total eye opener. And I cried. I cried the first time I experienced being able to use the power of presence in a situation. Um, to know that there was that much power in the moment.
It's
Um,
magic. It's magic.
it is. I literally cried out of joy. I was overwhelmed with joy and gratitude um, that I thought maybe I had finally got it, you know, and I continue to get it every day. And like, people say, man, you've been doing, cement work or whatever for 40 years. You must know it all. No, I don't. And when I stop learning, I'll get into something else because that's the fun of it. And same thing with the journey. We're going to take this to the grave, learning all along the way. But at the end of the day, it really isn't about us. It's about the people we encounter and, lighting a candle for them, spreading your light, spreading your love onto them and sharing, in a moment with them. And
Because there is no other, right? There is no other. Ultimately, you always meet yourself. And
correct.
that's amazing. And also for me, I thought I was on the journey. First, I didn't know I was on the journey. Then I was like, okay, I'm on the journey. And then Eckhart, Thich Nhat Hanh, and also Rupert Spira lately said, well, you're not on a journey. You're home. When
You're
you
home.
realize there is no journey, you actually are here. So you don't have to go actually anywhere.
Yeah, the journey is the contemplation of yeah.
Thich Nhat Hanh said, the meditation's like, I'm home. Like whenever something's like, just say, I'm home. Like,
absolutely.
and then Rupert also said, there is no journey. Journey was away from yourself. When you realize that you are you're there.
Yeah, right on. That's awesome. Thich Nhat Hanh said a very similar thing.
Right.
I can never be lost because with every step in the present moment, I'm always home.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're home.
So yeah, Rupert, same thing exactly. Yeah, and that's so true. The journey is just a perception of A to B, in this thing we perceive as time, along the way. So yeah, that's about all I got. Yeah, that's beautifully put.
Well, with my life's journey, my last relationship ended in 2013, and it wasn't until recently my dad, my mom, and my sister got to talking to me about my non-existent dating life. So I says, I never really thought about it because I had my illness and surgeries, and I was just busy working. I worked a full-time job, and I was a driver for my part-time job. And my life's journey, I've been single and by myself really since 2013. And I look back and I'm like, it was peaceful. I don't know how to say this. So, it's not the fact that the marriage that, well, I had two marriages, but my second ex, I have to talk to him on a weekly basis because he is the custodial parent, and we get along fine. And I guess it's just talking to him and then talking to my family. I just never bothered to, hey, I've been single. It's almost a decade. But that's just something that I got to deal with. And I just re-got the Power Now and New Earth, and I read them. And the New Earth was very hard for me to digest and read because it took me longer to read. But then I remember I had the Power Now back in 1997. And it's like, that's why the Power Now, when I read it, was so easy because I was remembering that I had already read it. So that's what I'm saying. My life's journey, it's like, well, I've been, at peace with myself for the last 9 years. And it's only when my family asked me, hey, I says, well, I just I never thought about it. And then when I do, then it's like, oh, this is the reason why I've been single. So that's just something that I have to work on.
But life's journey does not mean that you have to have a partner, Kimberly. Life's journey, like I started in the beginning, right? Our inner purpose is to awaken with or without the partner. Like Rupert Spira says, right? If you have a partner, you tell the partner, I don't need your love to be me, right? I don't need your love. Like you don't need the partner. It is somebody that you live with and you love them unconditionally because the love flows from this inner knowing of who we truly are. That love but that love flows to, like I said, right, like to your person. The same love flows to the person that you're dropping off your dry cleaning. The same love flows to your partner. Same love flow, unconditional love flows to your children if you're coming from presence. If you're not coming from presence, then it becomes an egoic manipulation. Oh, I'll buy him a box of chocolates and I'll buy him a t-shirt, or I'll buy him this so that he love me, right? It becomes like a manipulation of the other person. There is no manipulation in true love. In true love, that person will know who you truly are. The one thing while Caesar was speaking, you wanted to say something, Caesar? Okay, thank you. One of the things that I remembered in a very old talk, what Eckhart says is, every one of us is given a stick, like a, twisted stick, right? And each of one needs to be a carpenter and like make a beautiful figurine out of that stick. Now, one person's stick may be, like for me, it was financial loss, right? I went through a horrible financial loss in 2012, like completely everything wiped out. I had to sell my house to get funds, something of that nature, right? So complete financial loss. So another person's stick may be they have cancer. Another person's stick may be they may be disabled, physically disabled. Another person's stick may be they have some kind of illness, right? Like you were saying, 2 broken marriages. That's your stick. So now how are you going to make it like a beautiful figurine? And that beautiful figurine is living what you are doing exactly now, is questioning what is my inner purpose, and living through that presence power. And that presence power, the kind of person that attracts, when you're in your presence power, you're going to attract another equally compassionate person. Who knows in a year or two who you're going to attract in your life? You may find the ideal partner that you will live with for the rest of your life. But thinking that, oh, I need that society telling you their conditioned pattern is, what is the American dream? The white picket fence, the two children, 2 cars, white picket fence, house, right? That's the American dream. That's society, that's conditioning. You don't need to be conditioned. Say dad and sister, that's your conditioning that's speaking. That's your idea of what happiness is. That's not happiness. Happiness is to be in presence. And Kelly and Kelly have joined, so I'll hand it over to them. I put the question one more time, and introducing Kelly and Kelly, I'm sure everyone is very familiar that they're Qigong teachers, the one and only Qigong teachers that have been with us for a while. If you'll want to answer, Kimberly's asking that question, Kelly and Kelly. So we've been discussing it ever since we opened the Facebook Live. Thank you.
Do you want to go first, or do I go first? So the coin.
Well, I just think the question itself is like, am I on my life's journey? Well, I think we're on a life's journey from the moment we're born. It's what our level of consciousness is at any given point on the way. I mean, we came here for a journey, but we can choose to stay stuck at some point, right? And follow all of the things that we believe from when we came here, or first came here, or we can change that. We can change our perception of pretty much everything. You know, there is a funny thing that I was laughing about with some other panel members on. It was something that I posted, and it was a really silly thing about whether or not you spread jelly with a knife or a spoon. And I was like, people do it with a spoon? And other people were like, you do it with a knife? And it was really funny because, you know, you learn something so simple and you don't question it because you just always do it.
Yep.
And that's like everything that we learn, right? Is that at what point do you question it? Maybe some things you never question because it's just not something that you need to in this lifetime. But other times, like I heard Caesar saying, and Poonam as well, that we have things that happen to us where, you know, like the analogy with the stick, what is our event? or thing that happens that catapults us into a new level of awareness, right? Because we can just go through life and enjoy life, and maybe we're just happy until we have something happens that makes us question things. You know, it's like, what level what do we need to question about stuff? I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say something very similar. Anyone who's on this planet is on their life's journey. And it really is about how much awareness you have a soul contract with yourself to develop. And what Patricia said about how you don't need to go anywhere, right? Everyone is, there's a fad about, kind of petering out, but about like people finding their passion and finding themselves. It's like going and doing stuff to find themselves. It's like, no, it's not that complicated. It's not, you need to be with yourself. You need to know how to love yourself and how to be present with yourself and how to learn your patterns. You have to learn how to listen to your mind and your heart, and how those two spaces are different, so that you can understand how to be present in your heart, so that you can choose what actually feeds and nourishes and nurtures and supports your heart's path. And understanding how to be present with yourself and understanding your ego is really the first step. And that is where the path, people generally tend to consciously understand that they're on a path, that they're on a spiritual progression and evolution, is when they begin to understand how their ego, how their attachments, how their patterns, how their projections and trauma have influenced them and caused them to choose things that have shaped their lives. And I mean, everyone's on their path. Everyone is living their path. And again, it is absolutely all about how conscious you choose to be or not. And some people are here, they are living their path, but their soul contract is to be completely unconscious and to just be here and absorb all the energetic information on the planet and to experience, pain, sorrow, happiness, grief, all of the spectrums of dualistic emotion. And sort of like, yeah, your life's journey does show you what you are not, because it is when you understand your patterns and those ego attachments to those patterns, that's when you understand what you are not. And it is not the easiest thing to be able to look at our trauma and the patterns in our lives that have kept us in a repetition and not a progression. And it is very awesome when you actually understand how to step back from a pattern and step into yourself. And there can be a lot of confusion, emotional confusion. And sometimes people just get pulled back into a pattern because they take a step forward, but they don't understand that the new space comes with confusion and comes with uncertainty, because it's a brand new space and we have no attachment to it. And there is no feeling associated with the new space. And we can get scared and we can go back into comfortable spaces to stay safe. And it's really important to understand that that is a normal, natural aspect of just being alive and working through our spiritual evolution and our awareness of ourselves. And, again, whether or not we choose to be, super duper conscious, or just meh, it's, another day at the office. It's, every moment is an opportunity to
Just
choose.
another Thursday.
Just another Thursday.
That's a line from a movie.
From The Gray
Just
Man.
another
Just another Thursday. Yeah. Whether or not we're on our life's path, I mean, if you're actually asking that, you're conscious of the fact that there is such a thing, and literally 90% of the people on the planet are not conscious of the fact that there is such a thing, that you can actively participate in choosing your evolution as a human being, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, whatever. And that is one of the biggest things, is like when you surrender to the fact that you actually have a choice. Now that might seem like a juxtaposition and a contrariness. But people don't understand that when you are actually choosing to sit with yourself and be present in the moment, you're actually choosing to participate. And by participating, you also let go of ego attachment. So in a way, it's like you're turning ego attachment inside out. And you find that space of being present with yourself, and you find that feeling. And it's not an ego attachment. It's not a mental projection. It's not an intellectualization of a concept. It is that feeling, as Caesar said, like myself. Yeah, when I first stopped myself, stepped into observation and shut down a pattern, I cried, because I was just like, oh my God. Like there was so much relief, grief, anger, sorrow, and happiness just all wrapped up into that experience of choosing, but in choosing, surrendering to the fact that I cannot control the external environment. I can control how I feel, how I'm responding, and I do not need to participate in the old pattern. What was that?
That's so I was gonna can I add something?
How does it feel to be okay? Yeah, go
Just
ahead.
to add to what you
Yeah.
were saying too, is the outside things don't matter as much as what's going on inside, right? Like
Yeah.
when you were talking
Oh,
before
yeah,
about,
yeah.
Kimberly, I think right, did I get your name right? That was talking about, relationships and not, traditionally dating. Like after my divorce too, everyone's like, you should date, and I'm like, but I don't want to. I just want to like enjoy my life. I want to concentrate on being a mother to my children. And if somebody comes along, then that's great. But I have other things I want to focus on. And I think that, and also there are some people that their passion in life is to travel.
Yep.
And the way that they do that is by having a job that maybe they don't particularly
Like,
they like it, but it's not their passion, but it provides them with the means to be able to live their passion. So it's really what you're doing inside every moment with that matters. How do you feel about something? I mean, if you're in a place in your life where you're not happy and you know that you need to make a change, making that change can be scary because you're shaking up your inner world.
Yep.
But the outside stuff doesn't really matter as much as what's happening on the inside.
Yep.
And there are a lot of people that don't understand that. Like people, especially with relationships, will think, well, if relationships have to look like this, or everybody needs to be in one, or
Yep.
whatever. But it's, is that important to you, or is it just, are you letting things unfold? If it's something that you want, are you actually doing the work to be able to get to where you want to go, no matter what it is?
Mhm.
So,
and those cultural patterns, so those projections from culture and society of like what a relationship is supposed to look like, what family's supposed to look like,
or your life, like
or
the
your
picket
life.
fence idea,
Yeah, the
right?
whole white picket fencing.
Yeah.
My whole I am such a black sheep in my family. Oh my God. I even see, for me, it's like I've grown up, I've never believed in the white picket fence. I mean, I tried it to try and fit in. Huge, wonderful learning experience. Yay.
Mhm.
But it's, it is. It's like I've, and it was actually a huge gift to show me how much that white picket fence paradigm was completely irrelevant to me. And that was the learning experience. And that was the gift of all of that. Yeah.
The light sheep.
The light
black
sheep.
clothing.
Yeah, black clothing. Shh. Everybody along. I got the t-shirt, $8.99. No.
You have
I
to
wanted
read
to
what
just-
you have to read what Patricia said, because the people that are watching cannot
Oh, right.
hear.
Okay, Patricia
So
said, you are actually the white sheep. The light sheep, LOL.
Thank you.
And then her other question before that was answering the question, how does it feel to be you?
Patricia, are you asking like us specifically, like how do we feel?
Or how do you feel to be you?
Or how does...
I guess what I meant is that to answer the question, how do I know that I'm on my life's journey, is really goes to different question. The answering the question, how does it feel to be me? When
Mhm.
when you answer that, or when you actually constant answering that in the moment, it takes you to that presence when you're realizing you are the light, right? You are the consciousness.
Yep.
That's how it feels. I'm
Yes.
not those conditioning patterns. I'm not my thoughts. Feelings come up, but I'm not them because they come and go. What stays always
Yep.
is
Yep.
that
Yeah,
I.
very good point. Very, very good point. Yep. Yep.
Thank you. I like the word black sheep is just because it goes from white to black, right? We talked about you are light. It's your famous things. Like every time, you know, something happens, I remind myself I'm the light, I'm love. And yet in the book, you know, the Tao Te Ching, it says the darkness within darkness. That's where we are true. So
Yes.
it's just the concept, but it's really what it feels like, right?
Ooh, goosebumps. So the darkness within the darkness that is mentioned in Tao Te Ching is what people refer to as the void.
The void.
The reason why it's darkness within the darkness is because the void is in between the old and the new spaces. And it feels even emptier because it actually has a lot of dark information in it in terms of all of the hidden feelings and information about those feelings are in that void, and they're totally neutral. And when you get to the void, there is no ego attachment, which is why they say no mind. And so you have this void and all this information comes to the surface. And that's the darkness within the darkness that is actually the light, because it's all that information. The void is not actually empty. The void is full of completely different information. And so the darkness within the darkness is actually teaching us of how deep the information actually goes. And it's the feeling, and it'll feel, I mean, it's one of the,
a little disconcerting.
yeah, it can be very disconcerting. I know the first time I actually experienced the void, it was really scary because I felt nothing for anything. And I had like about 3 months of eating food where everything tasted like nothing. Like there was literally such a shift in connection to reality that even eating food was not satisfying, and food tasted like nothing. I had to keep reminding myself to eat because I had no attachment to normal patterns, even just, you know, but the darkness within the darkness is the information within the void. And it's sort of it's kind of the reason why the term is used is because it's to demonstrate how things become inverted, how the depth of the darkness is actually where you want to be, because inside the depth of the darkness, you have all of your own truths, you have all of your own information, and there's nothing that you can do to hide from it when you get to that place. Whole other.
It's almost like that first lesson from the miracle. What's that book about miracles?
A Course in Miracles.
Thank you. The Course in Miracles. When the first lesson is that when you look at everything and it's like there's no meaning to anything, like nothing has a meaning. And then the second lesson is like there is a meaning that you give it. So it's just doing that deconstruction.
Yes. Yes.
Construction of stuff. Wow.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps when you were talking about this. It's insane.
It's a tricky. The Tao Te Ching is full of very complex symbolism, and this is why it resonates with so many people and why people read it and they have awakenings, because the embedded information is like in just the words, and the sequence of the words, like Zen koans, is exactly like the darkness within the darkness. You can't see the darkness within the darkness, but you can feel it. And this is the whole point of being present with ourselves, is that we are needing to relearn how to feel ourselves and feel our own darkness. And the darkness within our darkness is actually the light shining through, showing us the way to let go. And it's the feeling of letting go because you have no point of reference. Like you're adrift in the vast cosmic ocean. And if you've ever seen videos of people actually out at night in the dark, like on cruise ships, oh yay, brightness cruise ships, and you look out into the ocean, pitch black, and their flashlights like literally disappear like within 5 feet of the railing, and you can't see anything. That is literally like visually, viscerally, that kind of point of reference. And yes, the Course in Miracles does a really good job. Again, you know, this is the thing about books, is like we need words, and we need this kind of linear breadcrumb type of trails to get our minds out of their patterns, to get us thinking about different things so that we can discover ourselves, so that we can learn how to feel those spaces and feel our information.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kelly and Kelly. Kimberly, did you have any questions about it? I'll give you an example. Patricia was asking me, so I signed up for a week-long advance with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and Kimberly. What Patricia asked me was, why do you need it? Why do you need to go to the week-long? And my thing is okay, I know of presence power to this extent, but when you meditate with 1,000 people in the same room, what is it going to be like? Because people are having mystical experiences, people are having remissions during that meditation, right? People have cancer and their tumors disappear. And he also has what he calls a cage experience, which is he allows the attendees to heal a person that offers, it's like a coherence healing, but the attendees offer the healing to the person. So all that, so, you know, even if you go through and say, okay, I know of my presence power, you want to take it to the next level. Right? You want to go, okay, how much more can I experience this presence power? What more is there to experiencing this presence? Yes, I know I can experience my presence power, but is there more to it? Or is this it? The same thing, Sadhguru says his temple in India, in Coimbatore, it's called Dhyana Linga. He says he's energized it in such a way that anybody who sits in that temple will completely, like, the vibrational frequency will. So I have the desire that someday I'll go to that temple and I'll sit in it and see, does it really affect my vibrational frequency? So that's the kind of, you know, when your inner purpose, like when you're living your inner purpose, it will always take you to the next, okay, what more can I experience of my own presence? There's nothing like, oh, I need to build this huge bridge, or I need to build this huge empire or anything of that sort. It's just your own presence power. You want to experience more of it, right? And that's the darkness. You kept asking about the Akashic field. I think the darkness within darkness is where you ultimately would be in touch with that infinite mind, as Rupert Spira says, right? The Akashic field. That's where you get the information. Right, Kelly? He said yes.
Is that the Akashic?
The Akashic field is actually within us. A lot of people have this mistaken understanding that it's outside, that it's like above, out in like the heavens or whatever. But this is the whole point of actually becoming present with ourselves and stepping into spaces like the void, so that you can feel that information. Because yes, that is where the eternal mind of creation exists. And that is one of the things about our current civilizations, quote unquote, civilized modern, quote unquote, society, where we have kind of dispossessed ourselves and disconnected ourselves from the cultural foundations of awareness that used to be present everywhere, that would actually give us these toolboxes naturally as a community event, in terms of witnessing births and marriages, and also all of the old ways, old paths of wisdom that honored, you know, the earth and honored the stars and, you know, the elements and the aspects of creation that were there, part of, you know, basic agricultural societies, where we recognized that this is life happening right in front of us, and we are actually a part of it. So this is how we understand that we're present, because we can feel it. We can feel the wind on our face, we can feel the sun on our face, we can feel the water, as we drink it. These types of feelings were the basic sort of cornerstone of understanding how to feel our bodies and be present with ourselves. And in modern day society, with so many things to distract us, it is so hard. It takes so much more discipline and work to get to those spaces. So yes, the Akashic field resides in that darkness, and it's facing and stepping into that darkness and our own darkness and the spaces that we like to hide from, that will teach us how to feel those spaces.
Beautiful.
So Kelly, so what you're saying is I have to go into my darkness to get the Akashic records?
Yeah. So there's two ways that you can access Akashic records. One is by astrally traveling through mental projection and leaving your body and not being physically present in your body. And then you have to sift through everything and mentally analyze everything. I used to be a trained psychic and channel and all that, so I've done that. And the other way, and I had to unlearn that way and then relearn how to connect back to my body and be physically present in my body. And when you are physically present in your body, you don't need to surf, you don't need to go anywhere. You understand that every little bit, every cell in your body is a star system of information. And everything inside of your body is your information. You don't need to go anywhere. This is literally like, you don't need to go anywhere to find your passion in your life. You just need to be physically present with yourself, which requires understanding the ego and the way we get distracted and attached to everything, and use external things, people, events, situations to validate our ego and to define us, when going inside is literally the most powerful thing anyone can do. And when you go inside and access your information, what people refer to as the Akashic records, you got to understand that these are old terminologies. These are old concepts of accessing divine information. Right? So the records and our eternal. This is how the Bible says we are in God's image and God's creation inside of it. The point.
I think
3D
he's freezing, right?
reality that we exist in. Yep. Did I freeze?
Yes.
Are we good?
We back?
We're back.
We're
Okay.
back.
Now you're
Okay.
back. Now you're
Getting,
back.
getting
Thank you.
to
The
So-
divine is intervening.
exactly. When you go inside and you access your own power and you reclaim your power by stepping away from emotional extremes, stepping away from a drama, stepping away from the propaganda that you have to be a certain way, and you come inside yourself and you reside within yourself, you don't need any other training. You don't need a psychic or a medium to tell you what you already know. I mean, sometimes it's great to get, go and talk to people.
I mean, yeah, because sometimes it is nice to have help. We need support.
Yep.
Like everyone
Yep.
needs support sometimes. And how you get that, everyone can do that differently.
Yeah. I used to read tarot cards.
But the more you practice, you can do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes sometimes it's nice to have support.
It's those spaces like this is why being present with yourself is so important, because you stop the ego mind. Right? People say, oh, you can never stop your thoughts. It's like, well, yeah, but it's the ego attachments to your thoughts. And when your shadow tries to pull you into attachment with something, that's ego. So when you step more and more into observation and you observe the patterns of the ego, and you can feel those patterns in your body, then you are building your own information. And you also understand why things have happened in the past and how to change them in the moment, so that you can access with clarity your own information for moving forward on a certain subject or topic or decision.
When people say that oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, this year I turned 50. So what I did, this is my ending because my birthday is this month. So my 50th year is almost over, but I did get books on my shadow self, and a lot of them didn't realize the shadow self is your ego, because I read those before reading The Power Now and the New Earth. But one of the things that I can't remember where I read it or if I saw it on one of a video, is that the ego is there to protect you. Your shadow self is there to protect you. So one of the things that I live alone. So and with the pandemic, I really was alone, and I really have not been around many people physically. And if I am, I try to stay 6 feet away because I really don't want to be near them to feel their, if you want to say, their auric field, because they're unconscious and I could feel it, and I really don't want to be around them. But one of the things with the shadow is you have to embrace your shadow, and that's what I was doing August of last year, trying to embrace my shadow and doing a life review of all the situations. I mean, everyone has this, their history, and then looking back, and it's like what I knew now that I didn't know then is that my ego was protecting me from those situations. Yeah, at the time it did not feel like it. So that's one of the things that learning to embrace my shadow, know it's there, know you cannot get rid of it, just like your ego, you cannot get rid of it. And a lot of situations, triggers bring out situations that I had totally forgotten about, especially in my first marriage, that it's like, I forgot that happened. And that's what the New Earth was very, very difficult for me to read, because I was bringing up stuff that I went through, totally forgot about. And it's like, oh, do I need to remember this? So that's just something that maybe it's the healing part of reading the New Earth, especially with the relationships, that I need to go back. And it's like, okay, I'm looking at it as a different person, because that relationship ended in 1999. So it's like, can't remember things that happened yesterday, and let alone 20 to 30 years ago. So that's just something that going forward is learning for me to embrace my shadow and learn how to be the light, if you want to say.
Do you want to say something, Caesar, about that? And then
Sure. Yeah, I was going to say earlier, just regarding relationships, that the need for a relationship is purely egoic. After having been in a relationship that was similar to a Kelly and Kelly relationship, it was a beautiful experience. I do understand fully now that I cannot be with somebody in a loving relationship that is unconscious. It just won't work. The relationships outside of that, so there's no desire within me to find a relationship anymore, and that's not choice, it's just the way it is. And I'm perfectly content. I don't feel, even though I'm alone, I'm not lonely. The relationships with other people all feel like love relationships now. It's amazing. But yeah, so and back to the journey thing, you get there by realizing you're already there. And Kelly touched on that a little bit, and I think everybody actually has. But yeah, the relationship thing is yeah, that's something to ponder about. But yeah, it's, if you feel the need that you're lacking, you have to understand that that is the egoic mind dictating the scenario for you, and it should be released. The attachment of that is probably not a healthy one, being it stemming from ego and not consciousness. So that's all I wanted to say.
beautiful. Thank you, Caesar. And actually, coming to the belief that the ego was there to protect us is also a limiting belief, Kimberly. because that will give you a justification of whatever happened, and I'm justified. It's going to make you feel superior. That the ego identification, the identity that Kelly was talking about, that we're building an identity. It's okay to have thoughts, but identification with the thought that now you've built an identity, that it was okay for me to have my ego protect me. That's an identity. Each event, when we see it, the way it unfolded, it needed to unfold exactly how it unfolded. No, don't, as Eckhart says, right? Know the facts of the situation. Remove your narrative of what happened. Because, you ask two siblings, like if you ask my brother is going to say, oh, she was so mean to me when she was little. And I'll have this thing, well, he was so mean to me when I was little, right? So each one will have their own story, their own version, because they're adding that narrative. But things were exactly how they were. So the more, and that's the power of being in presence, is that we see things. If I look at each of my events of my past, I can see exactly that they needed to happen exactly how they did. And before I say the next sentence, I wanted to say, since you said you were in the Air Force, thank you for your service. I forgot. My apologies for not remembering that. So thank you for your service. Go ahead, Patricia.
Something came up for me when you were saying this. For me, I think the one of the ways that I find useful to determine in that moment when something is happening, if it's ego or non-ego, if I'm acting out of love or out of fear. Because if you ask, like, am I scared? Am I acting out of fear? That's gonna be ego. It's right there. But if I feel like my heart is open and something in me 100% believes it, and I'm not afraid of anything in that moment, that's the presence power, because it's unlimited and it's indestructible. I mean, the minute there is a shadow of a fear or trying to protect what are you protecting? Will that ever work? Anything you were trying, does this work? I know April once had that meditation, a heart meditation. And he said, well, yeah, ego, the brain, the fight and flight, everything, it's that survival, old brain, 2 million years old brain that was there to protect us, to survive. But now we don't need that. Like, now it's just like something from the past. What do you need to be protected from? Like wild beasts running after you? No, so we create some mental images. We're afraid of the boss. We're afraid of the husband. We're afraid of the father. It's like we're afraid of the war. We're afraid of the rain. We're afraid of the lightning. I'm like, seriously, if you realize that you're not that body and nothing can change who you really are, then you're acting out of love. And then ego just dissolves. It's like you don't even have to do anything, just speak.
The other thing you said, Kimberly, was being 6 feet away from people because you don't want to get into their field of unconsciousness. In A New Earth has a webcast, and that's why I like A New Earth, because you can look at the chapter, and on YouTube you can find the webcast where Eckhart is actually. Have you watched the webcast?
I've been on his YouTube channel and just going by topics. He has playlists by topics.
Okay, I'll give you the webcast. You can go chapter by chapter.
Oh, okay.
In one of them, there's this lady that tells Eckhart and Oprah that she's an empath, that she's very hypersensitive, that she is very sensitive, right? And she grasps everybody's energies. She can feel everybody's energies, right? And he says, he and Oprah both say that's an identity as well, that you're an empath. Then that's the ego as well. So to let go of the ego is to know, build this presence power, and we'll know that we can be with other people. We can be 2 feet close to them, 3 feet close to them, because the presence power is going to, what does Abraham Hicks say? Under whose influence are you? Are you under the influence of source, or are you under the influence of everything else? Right? So, and that's how you influence the other. Are you going to enter the room and influence everybody else? Caesar, you want to say something? You're in mute, I think. I cannot hear you.
Get
Thank you.
better.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank
Are you going to influence the energy in the room? Or are you going to be influenced by it? Yeah. And if what she's saying is that, are you influenced by source or not? Because when you're influenced by source and connected to source, you will approach them same people that you had once avoided. And that will be for a reason. That's, a type of resistance of shying away from somebody instead of just allowing it to be as it is, or having the fear about, I'm protecting myself. I don't resonate with these people. Well, there's a reason there, and you should check where you're resonating at, really. Because if you're seeing something within the other person or other people that is not appealing to you, that would be a good opportunity to take a deeper look inside yourself. Because, so they say, what you see in others is a reflection of yourself. So if you are judging somebody and say you're labeling them as this or that, chances are that is what is happening within you. That is what you feel about yourself. More so than not, I find that to be true. So I would, that's something to work on. And it's not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing, because there's another beautiful opportunity for growth. So maybe, like as Kelly was saying, change the whole channel on that, and change the approach, change the way you respond. And you'll find that's a feel good deal at the end of the day. What you was afraid of, or for whatever reason, staying that, keeping your distance from them, as far as taking on their energy or whatever, how you put it. If you are the influencer of the energy, bring the smile into the situation, into that 6 feet space with you. And you'll surely get a smile back 99% of the time. And with that, a beautiful word can also be spoken. And with that, a beautiful word will be returned to you 99% of the time. And then you'll find that all this staying away was more so nonsense than not, But yeah.
You'll begin to love people. Like, you'll see people and you want to hug them. You want to see people, no matter who it is. That's what presence power does to a person. I mean, you should look at Dr. Joe Dispenza. Another reason why I want to go to the week long. The way he walks up to, he says he does not want to go be another keynote speaker. His love is the attendees that heal during the advanced workshop. And the way look at his testimonials of how he walks up and hugs and kisses. Like, this woman may be 50 years old, big, and like not the best looking person on the face of this earth, but he sees the healing that this person brought, and he's just seeing the consciousness of the other. And the way, the unconditional love that he pours on that person, because he says this is the example of truth, because this person has healed their tumor or cancer or whatever disease state that this Parkinson's whatever it may be, right? Mostly it is cancer that people have healed, and MS, or they may have some kind of neurological symptom, right? They're blind and then they get their eyesight back. They're different testimonials. You can look on his website. I'll send you some of his videos. But the way he walks up to them, I want to witness that unconditional love. I've not seen. I mean, I express that with my son. I have that kind of unconditional love, and I see that in Dr. Joe Dispenza. That you'll unconditionally love other people. You don't want anybody to change. You don't want your children to change, your ex-husband to change. You're going to just love them just because they are, because you see their essence, right? Kelly and Kelly, you'll want to say something to wrap up? Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to add to what Caesar was saying, but also to add a little, like to flip the perspective a little, is that sometimes when we feel like we have to distance ourselves from people, it's also because a lot of times we absorb energy rather than putting it out. And sometimes for our own healing, we do need to distance ourselves from certain people so that we can do that inner work, because it can be difficult to be doing it around certain people. So from my perspective, also, it's okay sometimes to take time for yourself and say, okay, I really can't be around that group of people right now. That doesn't mean I don't want to or I won't, but to go into yourself, because like Poonam was saying, and I'm not saying it exactly the way she did, but the more you do that and you come into your own power and your own presence, it becomes so much easier to go anywhere and other people can't affect you.
Yeah.
You get affected by other people because they've triggered something in you that you haven't healed yet, that you haven't looked at. And like Kimberly was saying, with your ex-husband, your first one, I guess, that it's years ago and you didn't, why are these things coming up, these feelings? Well, maybe it's just something that you haven't addressed yet, because sometimes we get through a situation and because of our level of awareness or consciousness at that time, we just didn't move through that. And now there's a lot of things, like even, for us, we've been doing this work for a long time too, but there's a lot of little things that I had come up where I just had fleeting memories and feelings of a job I had like 20 years ago. And I thought, why do I even still have this? Like, let's do a memory dump. Like, get rid of it, because I don't ever talk to those people. I haven't seen them in decades. Why are they still taking up space? Like, why is there anything about that? And it's just that sometimes it's time to clean house, and things that you didn't deal with before, or that you might have used it as a catalyst to be on your healing journey, to go, oh, I really don't want to be in that situation. So you've reminded yourself of something. That's why you hang on to it. It's like, oh, it's just time to go. Like, just get rid of it, because if they're not in your life and you don't talk to them, there's really no reason for them to be taking up space rent-free in your energy field. So
Yeah, why do we have an abusive relationship with our memories?
yes, we were talking about that yesterday. Yeah.
So from my background in doing psychology at university, one of the things that I realized is that the concept of ego and shadow and the id and the super ego are pretty much canon and considered inviolate, as in those are things that never change. And I did a psychology and religious studies double major, so I had one line of school saying one thing and the other saying the other, where my religious studies focused a lot on Buddhism and First Nation traditional knowledge, and the spiritual information was saying, no, you can transcend. And the psychological stuff was like, no, this is permanent. You got to just accept it. And as a martial artist and a meditator, and then training in various modalities, I realized that no, you actually can change. You can transmute and you can transcend. And one of the things that I've discovered, and again, goosebumps, wow. One of the things that I personally experienced, especially going back to experiencing my own shadow and stepping across the void several times, is realizing how hard that is. And it's not immediately understandable by the mind, especially intellectuals who are trained in the traditional models of psychology. And one of the things that I realized is that my programming has a personality, which we call ego, but my heart also has a personality, right? Which we call Buddhahood, that mindfulness, the power of presence, whatever you want to call it. And there are two dichotomies that exist within us. It's like that whole concept of like you have two wolves within you. Which one are you going to feed, right?
Yeah.
And being gentle with myself was at first being a martial artist and being male and all the male conditioning that got like dumped on me, being both, from a Roman Catholic and a German Mennonite background, is just like, wow, okay. It's just like, just shove it all in there all at once. The intellectualization of concepts of identity all fall into the trap of mental analysis. And it requires real effort to sit with ourselves and transcend the intellectual concepts that have been there for a really, really long time. This is why sitting with ourselves is so important, because we give such an amazing gift to ourselves when we let ourselves feel. When we let ourselves feel our shadow, our pain, our grief, our rage, our joy, our happiness, the full spectrum. And allowing ourselves to feel the full spectrum without getting hooked into attaching or identifying with those feelings and stepping into observation and being mindful of where we are at emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and observing all of the information that comes up, I've found has been the key element to understanding how things are able to be transcended and how you can dissolve the ego. You can integrate the shadow. My experience has shown me that the ego is a symptom of the shadow, and the shadow is a symptom of your reptilian brain, literally hardwired into your amygdala and your hypothalamus. It's literally physically in your brain. And the programs of the animalistic nature of the fight, flight, or freeze aspects that we're so used to, and we just assume that they can't change. I have experienced them changing. This is one of the reasons why I teach Qigong, is because through the basic method of standing stick, of holding a posture, of letting your body's wisdom basically burn out the tension and open up the body and rewire your nervous system, has shown me that these concepts are very limited, and that when we sit with ourselves, we can actually let ourselves feel the spaces beyond our ego and our shadow, because we can feel them. And it's when we give ourselves that space of letting ourselves feel, that's when where the magic happens. And the more we do that, the more we make that our habit, the more we make that our space that we exist in, the more we experience our own presence power, for lack of a better way of describing it. And the way we understand how mindfulness actually works for us, and why our ego and our shadow will fight tooth and nail and throw hissy fits left, right, and center when we're actually making progress for ourselves, and we'll throw up walls and defenses, because yes, our egos and our shadows have actually been programmed to keep us safe. That is absolutely true. Except when you understand that you can be safe with yourself, and that your ego and your shadow have been the fortress walls that have kept the world out, that have kept you actually separate from yourself, because your ego and your shadow don't want you to see what they're doing inside emotionally and mentally to keep you safe, to compartmentalize and to bottle everything up. They don't want you to see how they actually work. But when you start spending time with yourself and listening and feeling, it's unavoidable. And they will, throw shiny things and sparkly stuff at you to distract you, to keep you from feeling. And when we learn how to be present with ourselves emotionally, we give ourselves an immense toolbox, a very, very powerful toolbox. Whether or not you want to call it presence of power or mindfulness or being one with the Tao or whatever words you want to use to allow your brain to become comfortable with this new space that you're feeling. The singular truth is that we are where we're supposed to be, because this is the choice of learning that we have chosen for ourselves. And everything that we are feeling is our own information, and we need to go into what we're feeling. And this is why being present with ourselves is so important, because without going into ourselves and sitting with ourselves, you have a limited capacity to feel and to accept and to allow. And sometimes allowing is throwing plates against the wall to break stuff to feel something, because you know what, there's so much going on. You need something to shift gears, you know, and maybe that's eating a lemon meringue pie at like 3 a.m. in the morning. I don't know. Everyone has their own way of doing it, or binging on, like, you know, sweet potato fries. I don't know. Everyone is different. Everyone has their path. Everyone has the things that work for them. And this is the whole point of being present with ourselves. And this is how we understand that we are on our path, is by allowing ourselves to be gentle with ourselves and to sit and feel what it actually means to be present with ourselves. And that's where the power comes from. This is how we reclaim our power, and how we can transcend and transmute our ego and our shadows, because it's all information. And it's whether or not we allow ourselves to integrate and feel or not is the real deciding factor. And some people do it faster. Some people do it slower. Some people do it, you know, fast and slow, you know, different days, different, you know.
Beautiful.
That's what I got.
Thank you, Kelly and Kelly.
Lemon
Um,
meringue pie.
Lemon meringue pie. And it's 8 cents today. A lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
8 cents. What I was going to say is, since Kelly brought up what you missed, Kimberly, we stayed all the way towards the end. And Kishori and Patricia actually saw the animation that Dr. Joe Dispenza has. I was showing them this progressive, either the intensive or progressive, where what Kelly is saying exactly, where he shows that when we see a lion in the wild, how the neocortex sees the threat and then sends it to the limbic brain, and immediately the limbic brain sends a message to the adrenals, and we shoot up our adrenals, right? And that's why to a lot of people, I always suggest the B12, the ashwagandha, the lemon balm, and the licorice, right? Because we need to protect our nerves. That's what you're doing when you're saying 6 feet and I'm scared of this person coming into my space, right? So you're exposing, then he says it's not a lion these days, it's just your mother-in-law, your ex-husband, your child, your so-and-so. And every time you come in the proximity of, or think a thought of them, we are not even coming in proximity of them, right? We're just thinking of them, and then you're experiencing the same reaction as though there's a lion, right? I mean, Kishori, the moment she saw that animation, she got it. And she actually messaged me and she asked me, what were the supplements that you asked me to have? Because Patricia and I have those supplements. Kelly suggested it like a year back or something. The adaptogens, always take your adaptogens, right? So protect your nervous system, because it seems like your nervous system is in that fight and flight mode constantly, right? And that also points to the fact, where is your illness? And that's where the fight and flight is in the first 3 chakras, 1, 2, and 3. And that's where the illness is. So you've trained your body to be in that fight flight mode. And that's where the presence power will help. Is the more you go into your 4th chakra, your heart chakra, then you go to 5th, 6th, 7th, you go higher up in your chakras, then you're not going to be in that fight flight. You're not going to feel that I need to be away from this person 6 feet away. You can look at your ex-husband right in front of you and you will feel love for them. right? Because you will understand the perfection of why that happened. There were two pain bodies. Those two pain bodies came together, and they were always egging on each other. That's all they were doing. They would try, and you know how pain body would say something, push the other person's buttons. This person would push this person's buttons, and there's like constant quarreling and fighting. They're throwing things at each other. They're breaking stuff. That's how pain bodies are, right? So understand that is what happened, and I was a pain body as well. I participated fully in that. Now we have the self-awareness that we were a pain body. That's why that marriage broke. Now come second, maybe I still had a pain body, so take responsibility for what we did in that, right? And that also releases the other person. We disentangle from the other person. But this has been beautiful. Patricia, you want to say something before we quit?
Yeah, just a very quick something, that the element of gratitude for everything that happens exactly as it happens, because that also brings the trust in that unknown power that, you know, brings us that it meant to happen, and we got to trust it because it's out of love for us as beings here to actually experience what we need to experience, because that's exactly what needed to happen. That trust, that was a huge one for me. It's actually trust that someone or something is having my back, that I'm not alone, and all that suffering, there is an information there, and it's out of love that I'm getting it, not out of the thing to get me. And you know, so that's where the separation exists, you know, that you bringing yourself to the higher vibration of the love and gratitude and trust, and the lower vibrations cannot reach you then. That helps with the adrenals too, and all the supplements. Absolutely, the physical part, I needed that help. Mentally, I couldn't get out of my lower vibration. My presence power was not strong enough, so I needed to help supplements, physical, and yes, lemon balm, ashwagandha. I got those B12 to just to give me also physical break, and it made such a difference, huge. And melatonin lately, I'm just getting to new new levels. But Kelly and Kelly, I don't know if that meant to happen, but I'm taking the melatonin, and first I thought, because Poonam said, oh, it's going to be so amazing, I get that fantastic sleep, and when I wake up in the morning, I'm still feeling in that. What for me, the first 2 nights, oh my God, I was in the war. Like my brain was popping up stuff. I'm like, oh, maybe not for me. But then during the day, I felt relaxed. I felt more present. So I'm thinking, maybe I just gave my mind or my nervous system a little bit of handicap to actually work through this, you know, while I'm sleeping, so I can then live my day without that stuck up somewhere deep inside, you know, fear. So it needed to kind of work through it, but I had the support of melatonin to do that. Maybe is that what happened?
Well, I want to say I just started melatonin this Saturday, and these last few days, during the day, I'm like, I'm happy. I says I know I got enough sleep, but it's like I telework, but it's like I'm noticing a difference. I'm alone, but from last week to this week, it's like, you know, I think I'm in the now, the presence of the now. Who cares what happened last week? You know?
Fantastic. I love the positive. Yeah, I think we are not producing enough melatonin because actually, isn't it like the daylight? When the daylight goes down and it becomes dark, but we have artificial light, right? So we are awake more than what we are supposed to. So I think we are out of whack, and that melatonin just puts us back into proper circadian rhythm. with the planet. Then we are becoming one with the planet. Okay, infinite gratitude. It feels
Wait,
incredible.
but I'm just 1 second. I think Kelly needs to answer my question.
Oh, sorry.
Which
ahead.
question was that? What?
The question about having, and I after melatonin, instead of having that
Oh.
sleep, I got a lot of dreams coming up.
The last thing your shadow and ego want you to be is relaxed.
That's true.
The last thing your patterns, your programming wants you to be is to slow down, your mind, because that's the physiological way that your shadow triggers you to stay agitated and to stay disconnected. So the fact that you had dreams that were in the war, like violent, it to me is totally self-explanatory. I've had that happen to me, where when I slowed down, I would suddenly have vivid dreams where I was like fighting off these, one
Monsters.
battle after another. And I'm going, whoa, okay, what's going on? And over time, I've understood that, yeah, when you are actually slowing down and supporting your body, this is why the adaptogens are so important. And I've used melatonin for like 20 years to varying degrees. Both, the sublingual and the slow dissolve. I'll break the tablets in half. I rarely take like a full dose because my system's so sensitive. But yeah, the last thing your ego and your shadow want is for you to slow down and to relax. So this is one of the things about melatonin, is that it is what your body, your pineal gland, generates when you sleep. And this is also the other thing about doing emotional work, is that it stresses your nervous system out. And it'll use up the melatonin in your body to balance out your hormones. So when you are doing emotional work, your hormones are being triggered, and the enzymes and your endocrine system is working with an overload. So supporting them is so important. Supporting your hormonal function is so important. Doesn't matter who you are. If you are actually doing real emotional work, your sleep's going to suffer. Your days are going to feel weird. You're going to have interrupted rhythms in your sleep cycle because your system's processing. So this is why I use melatonin.
Yeah, and sometimes melatonin doesn't work for everyone, but
Yeah.
there are magnesium.
Yes.
There's different kinds of magnesium combinations
Yep.
that you can take in the evening too, because magnesium actually helps your nervous system process and
Yes.
and relax too. So you
And
could look into that. Ask a professional.
yeah, absolutely. Magnesium is awesome too. And I find that if my system starts to adapt and get used to the melatonin, what I do is I use L-theanine at night. And it is you can use it during the day, you can use it at night. And it sort of does this thing where it just relaxes your nervous system and gives you a nice sort of even keeled space. It's just an amino acid that your body uses in conjunction with melatonin. So if your nervous system has adapted to the melatonin, you can switch it up and use L-theanine instead.
All right,
Beautiful.
I'll check it up on Vimergy. Yes, yeah, I eat cherries because supposedly cherries too have
Yes.
the natural melatonin. So I eat it right before I take melatonin, and I eat it together.
Nice.
The other part to it, Patricia,
Thank
what
you so
Eckhart
much, Lynn.
what Eckhart says is, if you don't process your emotions throughout the day, if you bottle them up at night when you get into the dream state, everything will explode. And because melatonin is putting you in that dream state, right? The deep state. Maybe before melatonin, you wouldn't get into the deep dream state for a very long time. But now melatonin is actually putting you in the dream state. So what we need to see is, like, throughout the day, process your emotions, like with work, with situations, what happens, don't bottle them. It's like a pressure cooker, he says. Suddenly the lid of the pressure cooker comes off, and that's what melatonin probably is showing. But now I'm thinking that you're okay, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and I've been processing that the presence power helps too a lot. So the more you practice, the more often in the moment I can actually address it instead of, like you said, just, oh, I'm just gonna be super professional. But in the meantime, I'm feeling all these things that I'm like, my heart is like, that's not process. That's really not. It's really right.
You're suppressing. You're
yeah.
suppressing it. Yeah. Okay. Infinite gratitude and infinite blessings. Thank you so
you.
much to everyone here and everyone online for being. And thank you, Kimberly, for your courage and vulnerability. And thank you for
Thank
your
you.
service as well. Bye. Many
Bye.
blessings. Much love. Bye.